What is up, everybody? Good morning. Good morning. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020, Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And in 2023, 2022, and 2021, we reached out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 fathers all around the world. I'm also a featured content contributor to the Fly Nubian Queen channel that's run by Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. And that YouTube channel has 570,000 subscribers on YouTube. And also, the date has finally been announced, March 25th. Yes, March 25th, Indie Soup Media is launched, and I'm a content creator and also sit on the advisory board. And on that platform, it's run by a friend of the Dr. Vibe Show and Dr. Vibe and Morning Vibe, all those things, Dr. Tachi, and it's featuring over 35 content creators, and the total reach of the network is over 1 million people. So as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Ryan may be joining us today. I know he always likes to walk the kiddos on Friday to school, but I know next week here in the Greater Toronto area is reading week. So I don't know if there's a PTA day or not. I don't know, but let's go through some homework first. Always, please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also, like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, YouTube, and I already said YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. To advertise your business, product, or service on the platform, any of the platforms I host, please feel free to email me at dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. And always join the Morning Vibe Discord group. That's where we continue the conversation and people can share things that are going on, great articles, great posts. For example, we had Lorna Kennedy Martin on earlier this week, and she's given me some content about 10 etiquette and image tips for men, and when the women are coming. And then also coming up on this Monday show, she is back, Carolyn Nicole, certified holistic nutritionist of the Energy Shack Juice Bar, will be back with us. So we got a lot of action going on today. And of course, Ryan isn't here to help me out. I'm just joking. And so we got one recurring friend and then two, I think, new friends to the Morning Vibe, but not new friends to me. But first things first, I want to say, hail up. It is Happy International Women's Day. As my friend who's going to be calling on in a minute says, it should be every day, not just today. But I want to say a big salute to all the women around the world. I wouldn't be here without you. And look who's going to be jumping in right on time. All right. So before we go any further, there's a great initiative that's coming up that I didn't know about till early this week. And, you know, I'm glad to at least know a little about it. So I'm just going to put it on the screen for everyone to take a look. So Foodpreneur Lab and Corliss, Growing Investment Readiness, is a transformative 8-part workshop series designed to empower Black women entrepreneurs in food. And it's the goal is to create compelling narratives while mastering financial acumen. Through its immersive experience, craft a robust application for the Corliss Venture Program, paving the way for your food entrepreneurship dreams to take flight. Not going to go any further than that right now, but you know, if you're around for a bit, when we talk food, you know who's involved. And also, there's a lady who's been on before. Also, these two ladies have come together after a 5-hour conversation that I heard about. They're going to be coming on. So welcome back to the Morning Vibe, Janice Bartley and Lorraine Telesford. What's going on? How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Always a pleasure. What's been going on in your world, ladies?
I'll let you. Quite a bit. 5-hour conversations. World domination. What can I tell you? When Lorraine and I get together, man, it's amazing and frightening at the same time, because we could probably bang out all the solutions in, I don't know, give us 10 hours. So
had you two met before this recent get together?
Yes,
Yes.
we were Lorraine, when did we meet? Was it at
Yeah, let me jump in on this one. You know when
yes,
you
yes,
hear about
yes.
somebody before you get to meet them? Janice was
Lorraine,
already this big.
there's some noise going on in the background. Is there something going on in your background? There
Is
was.
it
Okay,
stop
it's
now?
quiet now. Okay, go
Okay,
ahead.
let me say it quick before somebody comes out. Um, when I met Janice, like, I mean, her name, the concept of a Janice was already this big. I was looking for people in our community who were doing things, who were saying that, basically their work was meeting what they were saying they did. And time again, when I met people who their business had advanced from where it was to where it needed to be, it was because of Janice. It had something to do with Janice. Janice was part of their journey. And then I had the privilege at the think tank event, where ACBN hosted that think tank event, to, you're looking for that moment when you're supposed to be networking, but you really kind of want to not network. I saw two beautiful women having a conversation, and I said, I'm going over there. And Janice was one of those women.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. Janice, take it from there. So how did that conversation go and how did it lead to where we're at today with this great opportunity?
So, first of all, before I jump in on that, I just want to say happy International Women's Day to all my queen sisters and Nubian princesses and present company. So, thank you. The highest honor, and I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart, Lewin, because I try and remain as authentic as possible. So that conversation has been ongoing, Dr. Vibe, with regards to what the current landscape looks like and how can we look at alternative solutions, because we tend to fall right into status quo most of the times. And again, that's because either we haven't had access or we're unaware of what are the alternatives, or sometimes we're even unaware that we can create alternatives. And this is where, Lorraine came in this with this discussion, and we were like, yeah. Well, I should say she came to me and she said, what if we did X, Y, and Z? Because give credit where credit is due. And I was like, yeah, I could see that. And so we started brainstorming. And as they say, one and one plus two. We also have a third party, Juliet, who's not here today. I have to give her credit as well. And really, it was a collective of Black women seeking solutions on a broader bandwidth. Because what you see here, I have that saying, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. Um, there are 10,000 other women behind each of us. And so it's important for us that we have that reach. And so this is how the Foodpreneur Lab Coralus Growing Investment Readiness came about.
Just before I come to Lorraine, it's interesting how you're saying about one in the 10,000. One of the things that George Fraser said, Dr. George Fraser said a number of years ago, he doesn't believe on one. He says the most significant number in his life is 11, and it's from the Bible because Jesus had 11
Mm,
disciples. And he says that's why 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 for him. 1 + 1 equals 11.
I'll take that.
So this
Yep.
is great.
Yep.
So uh
Absolutely.
Lorraine, tell us a little bit about your involvement in this great collaboration.
I will
How did
say,
you
sorry, there's a little, I'm not sure if it's frozen or not on the other side. You can give me a thumbs up if it's not. But I'm sorry if I cut you off there. It went frozen for 1 second. You know, Highlighting me would make sense at this point because we really are a team of three. And again, we're not in it for us. We're in it for the community and what this program could do for the community. What I will say though is that I used to really believe in being a team of one. And as I was saying to somebody yesterday, I am so surrounded in community now, and I so understand that to do big things, it's better if we do it in community. Each one of us, myself, Juliet, Janice, we are power on our own. Together, though, and then also bringing in another partner to do the program and so on and so on. It's amazing what we can bring to our community through meaningful and strategic partnerships with like-minded people. And the one thing Janice alluded to earlier that I just want to expand on is the 5-hour conversations. Our first conversation that night when I looked at these two ladies and said, they look like two ladies I could go network with. that conversation, my husband had to call at 1 a.m. and say, "Where are you?" We stood outside that event. I don't know if anybody knows, but we left that think tank parking lot, I think, at minutes to 2 a.m. And we started talking
Wow.
at 9 o'clock. We literally, as three women, talk. And to me, it just attests to the fact that it doesn't matter where you started or where you come from. We have similar narratives, similar stories, which means we have similar problems, similar joys, similar highs, similar lows. And if we have similarities, then we must can bring them together for a better cause.
Okay. Janice, how, I know it's an obvious question, but I know you can go a little bit deeper. How challenging is it for Black women, African women, to get the funding they need to get to the next step in this industry?
It's extremely challenging, as we've already known through study after report, after research, after documentation. And I mean, on the theoretical side, yes, we know this, as we say, the struggle is real. The reality side is that it's stagnating growth. That's the part that we really have to pay attention to. Yeah, the reports are great. They just validate what we already know. And so when you can't provide funding in forms of a loan to somebody whose business is demonstrating potential growth, whether it's 2-3%, it's still growth. You can't ignore the fact, okay? And not only that, respectfully, we've now changed our attitude, and this has always been my approach. My expectation of growth doesn't necessarily have to be your expectation of growth. If you don't want to grow 10% because it might be too fast, or maybe you don't have the resources to elevate that quickly, or grow that quickly, then that's okay. And it comes back again to allowing entrepreneurs, especially women, to redefine what success means for them. Because the reality is, we are jugglers. We don't just spin one plate. I have yet to meet any woman, or any Black woman for that matter, who said, "Oh yeah, I'm just focused on my job." That's not happening. And so we have to remember, when we're not focusing on that growth aspect, we are distracted by something else, whether it's not having sufficient funds, not having the resources, not knowing where to go, not having community, not being able to share the mental stressors that we go through, because that is real. And lastly, not being allowed or not able to take the time to sit still and figure out what's going on internally and externally, so that we can show up better. Because we're not here to compete with each other. We're here to support.
Like that.
So all of that is wrapped around a dollar, believe it or not.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about economics, right?
Yeah.
It's all about economics. Lorraine, so what is the process that one has to go through to apply, and if they get accepted, what things that that person has to bring to the table, that candidate has to bring to the table?
And again, pardon the noise in the background. I just stopped I met a client today at a hotel. I'm in one of those, the breakfast part of the room.
Yeah.
So the application process, Foodpreneur Lab website, has the growing investment readiness tab that is related strictly to this project. The application process involves answering a number of questions on our form that really gives us a baseline for who you are, what your business is, and it ensures that when we look at the answers to those questions, we know that you're the right fit for this program, and that this program will benefit you. The great thing about this too is I would say that any business should apply. Even if you think you don't meet the requirements, you should apply. If you're accepted into the program, there is a ton of learning to be had. I know that we might be at a phase when Black businesses, Black business owners, female Black business owners are just cohorted to death. This is a different program. This is about your business, learning more about it, being able to tell the story of it, and especially digging into and digesting the financial aspects of it. And then exploring possibilities What could you do if your business was in line to get more money, if your business had availability to funding, if your business could cross markets and cross borders? What would that look like? So again, just learning how to look at your business, break it down, tell the story of it, dream the story of its future, and then financially set up yourself to get there. And you can really do that by going to the Foodpreneur Lab website and looking for the Growing Investment Readiness tab. Also, if you follow Foodpreneur Lab on LinkedIn, you'll see one of the recent posts that have gone out to launch the project. And then there will be new posts going out daily, just as a reminder.
So for everyone who's watching this live or on the replay, on most of the platforms you're watching this on, I've already put the link for those to apply. So it's already out there to everybody. And also there is the information about Foodpreneur Lab, all things going. So Janice, just to finish up the conversation, why are you, actually for both of you, I'll ask Lorraine first. Why are you excited about this opportunity? Lorraine first.
I'm excited because this opportunity makes it that Janice has to talk to me at least once a week.
Good shot. And that's a good thing.
I'm really excited to collaborate with Black women, with women in general, to tell you the truth. And the more I'm engaged in the community, the more I'm just loving this thing we call life. This journey, when you meet a stranger, and after 3 or 4 conversations about business, you realize you're not a stranger, you're family. We experience the same thing. And then taking off the blinders and removing some of the barriers and being able to assist a room full of women to go from thinking I can't to I can. I'm really looking forward to working with everybody that we're working with to see the fruition of this Growing Investment Readiness program. And I really just can't wait to do more and more programs like this with Janice and others.
Excellent. Janice, last words.
I would have to say I'm excited on the fact that this is really about Black women, female empowerment. I think it really gives an amazing opportunity to have these very focused, strong-willed, determined Black women map out their strategy plan where somebody's actually with them along the way, making them aware of the dips and the climb, the high altitude areas, which is great because that's what's lacking. Most entrepreneurs that you speak with, the common response is, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that existed. I didn't know you could do that. So having everybody in the room with a team of experts, especially, given Lorraine's expertise in finance, and Juliet as well, I think it's an amazing approach, not only from a programming sense, but also from that emotional piece where I like to speak about as well, because in order for us to push forward, we really have to heal the trauma, whether it's the money trauma or whatever trauma is going on behind that, in order to get to that successful path. And so that's what we're here to do, really focus on building and encouraging our women and pretty much saying to them, hey, listen, sky's the limit. We are here to support you. Look at what we're doing. And to Lorraine's point, we're really seeking other ways as well to expand our partnerships and create some amazing opportunities for Black female entrepreneurs.
Wonderful. So just a few quick comments from the family. Fitness IQ, Cam goes, LOL, lovely incentive. Also, well, interesting question. How are the Black Chamber and the BBPA helping your cause? Or are they?
Lorraine, I'll let you respond.
This is what I'll say. There'll be a time for everybody. And I personally plan to knock on both those agencies' doors and see how we can partner with them for future endeavors. We are working with another party in this, and that other party and other spaces, there are many other spaces that we're going to ask for a seat at that table too, because at the end of the day, I think it's very important that we understand that business knows no color. And at the end of the day, as soon as we get ourselves investment ready, we're going to join with everybody else, and small business is going to save the world. So we look forward to, I actually do have in a call to one of the members of the BBPA. I find Frances DeSole personally somebody that should be celebrated. She's a consummate professional. I will be speaking to her one of these days, and I look forward to speaking to anybody from the Chamber of Commerce. So yeah, I think more to come with more agencies. We're looking at the whole entire Black ecosystem partnership.
All right. Well, Janice, Lorraine, thank you for making it a great International Women's Day, a great International Women's Days. And thank you for taking time out of your positive, productive schedules, whether you're in the office or in a hotel breakfast place, to hang out with us. There's the contact information there for, and also it's all on everything. And in a few moments, I'll share all the contact information for Foodpreneur Lab. As always, to both of you ladies and loved ones, don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourselves grace. Take care.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. All right. Round one is done. That was fast and furious. Eh? There we go. There we go. So I'm also just going to put up in all the platforms where you can get more information about Foodpreneur Lab. Just give me a second here. So we're going to take a break. As you see, I got a lot going on today, so bear with me. There's a lot of stuff going on today. So I've just shared the information for Foodpreneur Lab on all the one of the platforms if you want to find more stuff about the great hard work that Janice and her team are doing at Foodpreneur Lab. So we're going to take a quick break. Part 2's coming up on the Morning Vibe. We're going to be talking about Black marriage and Black Marriage Day. Nicole Osbourne and Paul Osbourne are going to be talking about this great event called Black Marriage Day. So keep it locked. We'll be back in about 2 minutes because I need a 2-minute break. I need the last 2 minutes of a break, and we'll see you in a few minutes. Keep it locked on the Morning Vibe.
You know, and that's what I feel like. You feel like you're the Harriet Tubman of the mind.
I am.
I feel like I'm I'm one of the Harriet Tubmans of intelligent Black people. Like, I want to liberate y'all from like being left behind and ignored and oblivion. No, really, the rappers get all the attention. You know, seriously, does anybody else feel this way? Like ignorant Black people, they'll be all up, you know, getting all the headlines on the Shade Room.
Overly sexualized Black folks.
Over, like the twerkers and the, you know, just people that, you know, don't always represent the best of us, you know, the diversity, you know, like people like Dr. Vibe. Like, everybody should know about people like Dr. Vibe. Dr.
Really
Vibe he's trying to do good work for Black people. Dr. Vibe from Toronto. Good to see you, my brother. Dr. Vibe. Everybody follow Dr. Vibe. He has a great show. He's very good at what he does, and I have a lot of respect for him. The men who are also doing the same thing. I see Dr. Vibe in here. He's a great brother. Everybody should follow Dr. Vibe, by the way. He's a smart brother in Canada, and we need to follow smart people. So follow Dr. Vibe if you see him in the chat. And Dr. Vibe, say your name in the chat so people can see you. I want you to click on his name, and I want you to go follow him, please, because I want these men and women that are doing the right things to get the support they deserve. Hey, Dr. Vibe, how you doing, brother? Again, like I always do, I got to say everybody should go follow Dr. Vibe. He's got a great show. Dr. Vibe, I know Dr. Vibe's got a kingdom because I see your channel. I see you pouring into that every day. Everybody should follow Dr. Vibe, by the way. Look him up, Dr. Vibe, V-I-B-E. He's a great friend of me and my wife, and I love this guy. Okay, so let me hop into this. What's up, Dr. Vibe? How you doing? Everybody, if you see Dr. Vibe in the chat, everybody go follow the Dr. Vibe show. Dr. Vibe is a real smart brother and a good human being. I like the guy a lot, and he's very intelligent. And I think everyone should pay attention to what he's got going on. We got to shine the spotlight on the intelligent Black people out here that are really doing the good work. Don't just pay attention to the rappers and the celebrities. You know, a lot of these people are losers. Your true winners are your people in your community that are really having your back. You know, helping us to have stronger families and a stronger community. So Dr. Vibe is in that category. So you might see the Dr. Vibe show in this chat. If you see him, please go follow him. Okay. All right. So anyway.
All right. We are back. And it's a nice lead in. A wonderful Black couple, Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. And I love getting 2-minute breaks because it allows me to be corrected. And someone will know what that means when we bring them on. So really happy. And a lot of times on the platform, myself and Ryan talk about the importance of the Black family and Black marriage. So before I bring Nicole and Paul up, I did mention on last Monday's show, last Saturday, I had a chance to hang out with a gentleman named Dr. George Fraser. And if you don't know who he is, and you're Black, you need to know who he is, especially if you're Black. And he's regarded as Black America's top networker. And he did a sharing session at the ACBN 5th Annual Symposium. And one of the things he shared from the stage is he shared some statistics about the average net worth of couples by culture in America. And the marriage rate of that culture. So at the top were South Asians, and the average, I guess, combined income of South Asians is number one in America. And it's about, quoting it, probably around $130,000 a year. And the marriage rate in their culture is over 90%. Next down was what I think the whites. No, it's Chinese. And again, they're around $100,000, high marriage rate. Guess what culture was at the bottom? Black Americans. Average net worth of couples around $50,000, $60,000. And the average marriage rate was 40%. So there statistically is a correlation between net worth and percentage of marriage in a culture. So just leading into that, I'm going to bring up Nicole Osbourne James and Paul Osbourne. What is going on, family? How we doing?
Great. My gosh, this is such an exciting day. It's my first time on the Dr. Vibe show.
Yeah, this is true. But I've been on some of your platforms, especially during the pandemic.
Yes,
but it's the first time we got you here.
There
you go. How is things with the family this morning?
Wonderful. Yeah, everything is amazing. Yeah, good. Kids are great. The man is all right. You can see him down there. Cool.
Man's all right. Okay, I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I think it's on Paul's.
I'm doing well.
Okay. So our family doesn't know.
Right. No problem. Really I may jump out for a minute and jump back in.
Okay.
That's okay, because then we can have our private talk.
Yes, there we go.
Talk about him.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna
some headphones or something.
Yeah, it's phone. All right. Can you just share a little bit about yourself to our family? Because the first time you've been on, so you gotta introduce yourself to the family.
Well, I just want to say that I have known Dr. Vibe for such a long time. I was just reflecting about how we met back in 1999. I met you you were barely a high school child then, weren't you?
I don't know what I was, but I'm still a child in a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, we met at the first launch of Black Planet in Toronto.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
And I'm amazed by that because this was like the first Black social media platform. And everybody's still talking about how we can start Black social media platforms. I'm like, we already did. We were already there. And it was an amazing, amazing night. And to meet you, I never forgot that night. I was like, this brother is on to something.
Wow, thank you.
This brother is building. This brother is moving and shaking. And I never forgot this Dr. Vibe.
Thank you. Well,
and now here we are.
And thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate it very, very much so. For those who don't know, Nicole has been very, 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 very passionate about the African Canadian community. I think maybe since she came out of the womb, I'm beginning to think that in that way. There's so, we need to have part two because this is just one conversation, but other things. But okay, let's get right to it. What was the reason for having this event, Black Marriage Day? How did it originate?
Well, Black Marriage Day, it's actually an official celebration or a day of recognition of sorts. It was established in America in 2002 or 2003, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 2002. It was established by a woman named Nisa Muhammad. She started an organization called the Wedded Bliss Foundation in Washington, D.C., and her vision of Black Marriage Day was a day to celebrate and foster healthier relationships between not just married couples, but children, teens, community, single people, everybody, to really show the way that marriages within our community can help elevate and support who we are as stronger communities. So this was going on long before I had ever heard of it. But when we first heard about it here in Toronto, or at least when I first heard about it here in Toronto, it was brought to us by another really great, I guess, Black power couple, you know, Ron and Desiree. And they had a Black Marriage Day event. So Paul and I went, and my biggest takeaway from that day was just the way that they elevated us. And you know, you sometimes you're coming out of, as younger people who were married at the time, you know, a lot of your friends are single, a lot of your friends are still out there, they're having fun, you know, and living lives. And we were kind of like, wow, look at us all, you know, locked down and, you know, locked down and middle-aged and driving a minivan, and it just didn't seem like very exciting times. It was so great to go to an event where the issues that we were facing were seen, and we were celebrated for doing something that for every place else I looked seemed like it was a really boring, matter-of-fact thing. But here on Black Marriage Day, we realized that it was an amazing thing. It was a great thing that we were doing. It was something to celebrate. It was not just, you know, making lunch and wiping noses. It wasn't just, you know, driving this minivan everywhere and wishing that I had something else to do. Black Marriage Day helped me to see that even in my day-to-day that I was doing something really important for the community.
Okay. I think we've got Paul back. You with us, Paul?
I'm back. I think what happened is the gods had to intervene when they heard you say Nicole Osbourne instead of Nicole Osbourne James.
Yes.
They're like, yo, I need to kick this brother out and also give light to International Women's Day, which we're giving thanks for that. So I'm humble and thank you for that intervention from the ancestors.
Okay. So Paul, how did this, Nicole just shared with us how this event became a reality. Can you share your lens on that?
For sure. You know, back, well, I guess 2014, I'm not sure if she said the date or whatnot, but really, we've been doing a lot of work in community, Nicole and myself, as, you know, as partners, of course, as, you know, a married couple as well in that sense.
So Paul,
Yep.
Before you go any further, how long have both of you been married for?
Well,
yeah, good question.
And let's see if he gets. I'm putting him on the side.
No, it's okay because everything comes with a story. If you remember 1999, what was going to happen in the year of 2000? If you remember, the world was supposed to end apparently, and the computers were supposed to go crazy. So I figured, hey, let's get married in 2000. It may or may not come. It came. So I've been married since 2000. So it'll be 24 years this year, right? So it also aligns.
Nicole, is he right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay. He was like, yeah, let's get married because chances are we're all gonna die. But we live. Booyah.
There you go. She got me again.
Before we go any further with Paul, I just want to say, people too, Nicole is an amazing comedian. So make sure you touch base with her. Her comedy is on point. And I always say this, I don't get the chance to communicate with Nicole. I follow you and I can continue the growth onward and upward. So I want to say bless you, my sister, on the great stuff you have, are, and continue to do, not only as a comedian, but as a mother and as a great Black woman.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much.
All right. So Mr. Paul, let's get back. How did this become fruition through your lens?
Yeah. So interestingly enough, again, we always support, you know, couples and Black community when it comes to events. So when we heard about this event from Desian Fanfare, we were like, wow, something celebrating Black couples and in particular Black marriage. You know, because we often don't see that being celebrated in our community enough, right? So, you know, arriving to the event, it was just so good to see, you know, other folks that were sharing that reality. Sometimes there's challenges, you know, sometimes there's success, but people sharing that reality and sharing their stories around, marriage and whatnot. And surprisingly, at that time, I think we won an award for the longest married couple. Maybe it was by a day or 7
Yeah,
days,
I
but even
think
that
we
was,
beat the other couple by about 6 weeks.
there you
Um,
go.
yeah, and we got a lovely prize for being the longest married couple there. We'd been married for just 13 years, almost 14 years at that time. But yeah, Black Marriage Day has been a thing for us ever since then. We're like, what? They give prizes for this? Wow.
There you go.
Oh,
There you go.
This
Yeah, and
has been
interesting enough, at that first one, we actually brought the whole family, right? Not just Nicole and myself. So the whole family was able to celebrate and engage in it, which I thought was important. Because, again, at some stage, it's like modeling, for the next generation around the impacts or the importance of, and benefits of
yeah.
marriage and collecting. So it was good to have
And
the children there.
from a practical standpoint too, I find that a lot of things that we want to do for couples, married couples, or if you have children, oftentimes we can't do them. Like Paul and I have 4 kids, and I think we had 5 that day because somebody's always
I
dumping
was
off
hanging out at your place. Yes.
people are always just dumping extra kids, and we brought all 5 of these kids with us to Black Marriage Day. Some parents, they don't bring their kids because they're like, we need a night out. But if you've got 4 kids plus, it's either hard to get childcare or expensive to get childcare. And Desian and Ron said, bring the kids on, and we brought them, and we had a wonderful night.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Lots of family chiming in here today. So oh boy. Fatima says, greetings, family. Love seeing Paul and Nicole.
Yay, Fatima.
And that's IQ says, Bumba.
Excuse me?
She
Okay.
also says, opening of Black Planet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fatima also says Black Planet. Now that was a quick minute.
Yeah.
So what I think Nicole knows, Keisha Gray says, hey there.
Hey. All the way from St. Vincent. Man, you're making international moves.
Yes. And the Macmillan Group, one of our Monday sponsors, says, good morning. Such an important concept. It's important to make the idea of Black marriage go viral. The trajectory of Black folk in TO will change immensely. Althea Cador says, happy International Women's Day. Absolutely. Lots of people chiming in saying, this is Fitness IQ Camp, amazing. Althea says, congratulations to both of you. Fatima says, I love this couple. And also says, I am looking forward to the event. We need to celebrate Black love. Sure. Just on that comment there, why do you feel we're, are we celebrating Black love enough? Obviously, you're having this event, but I want to get from your lens the importance of celebrating Black love.
Is that what we're doing?
There you go.
It really depends on who you ask, right? Now, there is a Black Love Day, which I think happens maybe February the 15th. I think people do that as an alternate to Valentine's Day. My personal opinion, and I cannot speak for the mister, but my personal opinion is that Black Marriage Day is not a celebration of love, and it's not a celebration of romance, because I find that when you're in the trenches of the day-to-day grind of the partnership, it is some of the least romantic thing. It is the least romantic thing that you could ever do. Marriage is not about a celebration of romance. It's not lights and candles and flower petals thrown down, because I can't tell you, if I threw flower petals in my bed, there'd be like 2 kids jumping on it at any given time, right? Like, marriage is not that romantic, but it is a celebration of work. It's a celebration of commitment. And I feel that if we really focus on what it takes, the sacrifice that you have to make, and the constant renegotiation of things, the division of labor and all of those things that can seem quite boring, but in the end, they can come together to create something so beautiful. That's what I think. That's what I think Black Marriage Day is all about. Because sometimes if we focus on romance, when the romance fades, we think the marriage is over. But that is not how it's supposed to be. The marriage is the work that we bring to it. So that's what we're celebrating on Black Marriage Day, is the work, the commitment, the sacrifice, the everything that we have to do to build together.
Yeah, and I think I would add that I agree, but I would add that we are celebrating love, right? Because it depends how love looks. Like work is love, discipline is love, commitment is love. All of those things, are attributes of love itself, right? I agree it's not just romantic. So yeah, we do get romantic. That is part of it. But I always say to people, there's a difference between having a wedding and having a marriage, right?
Absolutely.
A wedding is great. The day we eat your cake, we celebrate. But then marriage
Mhm.
itself is living, working. How are we negotiating with each other? How are we charting that path, together? What are the sacrifices we're making? What are the challenges? And part of, a marriage is really building a community, right? Nicole and I often talk about sometimes the challenges in marriages is if you're not connected to community and family to support you, especially in the challenging times, then it'll be hard to maintain a marriage, right? So we look at marriage is a microcosm of community itself, right?
Yes.
How do we work?
All right. Well, just want to shout out some people who have liked the conversation. Althea Cador has liked it. Also, we have Roxy Osborne Smith has done a thumbs up.
Wow.
Florida,
Florida
Florida's
in
in
the
the
house.
house. Florida is in the house.
And
All
Keisha
right.
Gray is giving a thumbs up on the conversation. Other comments that come in. Dr. Tachi says, good morning, all. Dr. Tachi, again, host of the livest show online about media tech and pop culture. That is Mediascope on when it comes back, Wednesdays at 5 p.m. on Instagram Live, and then 6 p.m. Eastern at Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and LinkedIn and other platforms. So she's loving what's going on. Let me just see. There's a lot of comments coming. So you guys are blowing this place up, which is a beautiful thing. She says, this is wonderful. Fatima has hashtag Black Marriage, hashtag Black Love. And Wayne Harris says, greetings, Osbournes.
Hey.
This is fantastic. Fantastic. Got some other things coming in. And Dr. Tachi loves the quote, a celebration of work.
There you go. There you go. That's for you to keep. Go ahead. You can keep that.
Okay. So when did the planning start for this event? Because I always like to see, because most people just see the end result.
Right.
What
Right.
was the planning that was involved in making this happen?
Well, I think if I can jump in, Nicole, if that's okay. Part of it, again, just to let folks know, we had done the event before, and that was pre-pandemic, right? And of
Okay.
course, since the pandemic happened, we've not done the event because places were closed down and whatnot. But we still seen the need to continue it, and one of the great partnerships we were able to make is Laz Authentic Cuisine. I'll endorse them. One of the best Caribbean restaurants in the city, in the GTA. I would say the food is very, very, kind of high class, elevated. The environment is beautiful. Love the people that are there. So we thought, well, that's a great marriage, to have this event, have a great environment, great food. So we started to kind of plan earlier, in the year in terms of confirming the venue and whatnot. But, we've been having this idea in our head probably from like summer of last year and thinking how we can kind of make it happen again in terms of that aspect. Maybe Nicole, you may want to add something to it, but I think the partnership and the marriage was really what kind of solidified it for us.
Yeah, I think that, Black Marriage Day, planning it is almost like everything we do together is a reflection of how we work together in this relationship. Like Paul will be nagging and nagging and nagging, like, oh, we have to start getting ready for Black Marriage Day. And he'll start, talking about it in November. And I'm like, yeah, I don't have time. I don't have time for this right now. So one of us has to take the lead, so Paul will take the lead on, making sure that the date is set and the venue is set and whatever. And then I'll come in after and it's like, okay, what are the parts that I do? So one of us is carrying and then the other one is carrying. And then sometimes we carry together. And what I've loved about working on this initiative is the other great couples that we have come in contact with, like Laz and her partner, Daika, I should say, and her partner, Jerry, who own Laz Authentic Cuisine. They work together very much in the way that Paul and I work together. One of them will meet with us. The other one will be in the kitchen. One of us will come and help with the flyer. The other one will be traveling, so we only get one of them at a time, but you can see that they're very much connected and working together, and I love that. And some of the other couples that we have been working with that we're really excited to see out at the Black Marriage Day event. It's just a great time to be with people who have the same dynamics.
Yeah. And I'll even give a shout because I don't want Miss Fatima's in the call. Fatima and her partner Ron from Green Curtain Publishing, always supporting, always loving that fact that folks are supporting it, and that's another dynamic. We're recognizing that there's a lot of married couples that are in business together. So that's a whole other show that we could do around that aspect, and what does that look like? Because it's not always the easiest to work with your partner, but then the reward and working together and complementing each other is always a beautiful piece.
Absolutely. So as you know what, you had mentioned them, so we're going to show them quickly on the screen because I want you to you gave them a verbal shout out. So I'm going to give a visual shout out to Green Curtain Publishing. So what is Green Curtain Publishing all about?
Well, they do have a range of services. So they do coaching programs, they do training. If you're trying to develop your curriculum, like your online curriculum and your courses, they do a lot of that. They also they publish, books.
Yep.
So, books of hope and books of encouragement and faith. So I really encourage folks to check out their website. And even come to the event. Sorry, say again?
I said their website is greencurtain.org.
Yeah.
Yes. And they'll be at the event. So they'll also be offering the books that they're selling. And more importantly, the conversation around, how do we connect as, Black couples and, that kind of information. So they'll be at the event. So it'll be great to connect with them and you can learn a little bit more about what they do, who they are.
All right, just catching up with all these comments. If I don't, I'll be 20 minutes behind on comments. So let me catch up here. Fatima says, I think that is the definition of deep love and commitment. Also says 100, Paul. And she also says, yep, marriage is living, working, and loving in a spiritual way. And she goes, see why I love them? Okay. Chada Edwards.
Oh,
bless. You know that name too?
Oh yeah.
That's family. That's family right
all
there.
Right. And For Your Temple says, I just love this couple. Bless up family. Ray says, so true, connection to your community tribe is so important for you to navigate the highs and the lows of marriage. For those days when you may still love each other, but not necessarily like each other. Okay. And Ray Hayton says, a regular thanks you both for explaining real marriage. I love that. And I'm going to ask, get both your lenses on this. I'll go, of course, as Queen Latifah would say, ladies first. What do you feel, Nicole, is the state of Black marriage from your lens at this time?
Okay. Well, wow. That's a big,
question.
Big question. Well, I mean, when I say the state of Black marriage, of course, I can't speak universally about it because we are all Black with different places, spaces, and culture. But I can speak to what I'm seeing, perhaps of my communities here in Toronto, perhaps further flung Caribbean communities, and kind of this generation of marriage. And I find that marriage is being impacted by a lot of different elements that were not previously a part of our culture. One example is the wedding. The wedding, I feel like the wedding is killing Black marriage. I'm just going to say it right now, right? The wedding is killing Black marriage because there is so much focus on the cost and the expense and the spectacle of this day that I find even couples that want to get married won't get married because they're like, I can't afford this particular day. I can't tell you how many years I have not been to a decent middle of the road wedding, because there are couples that are like, I'm just going to go to the courthouse and do it now, and then when I can afford it, I will involve all of you later. My children are ranging in age from 15 to 22, and I could say that for the most part, they have not been to any weddings, because weddings are so expensive. You can't invite children. You can't involve family in the way that you really would like to. And I know for myself, the most important part of getting married was my family being involved, my family being a witness to this relationship. Um, when Paul and I were negotiating if or when we would get married, one of the things I said was that a wedding for me is just a place where everybody in my family can meet you at the same time. I mean, yes, the key players already knew him, but for the far-flung relatives, I didn't want to spend the rest of my life going, this is Paul, this is Paul, this is Paul, this is Paul, this is Paul. I said, let's just get them together in one place. We'll stand up in front of them and we'll just say, hey, this is Paul, this is Nicole. We plan on spending the rest of our lives together, and we'll probably have some kids. Good. Hit the buffet, get the DJ going. That's a wedding. Right? That is it. That is all I needed. And we had a wonderful wedding. Our wedding was the first wedding that they had at the newly opened JCA building.
What? Hold on a second. What?
The first wedding there.
What?
I'm very proud of that. We had about 300 people, and we didn't go so far as to have paper plates, which is what I wanted.
To her disappointment.
We didn't go that far, but we had the most people possible that we could fit in the space, and we had the most support possible for our relationship, because everybody knows us, everybody's seen us, everybody in that room is committed to our success as a couple. And I think you just don't get that when your focus is on, silverware plates and, little bonbonnières just so. So I think the state of Black marriage is that even before we can get into the marriage, we've got to focus on what are our values around what does marriage really mean to us. And I know that for its success, it should not mean the most expensive day that you're going to be paying on for the rest of your lives after. That flies in the face of what we were talking about, raising our, financial value. Even if it was just financial value, a $25,000, $30,000 wedding right at the beginning is just not the best way, I think, to start this journey.
All right. Before we go any further, you have got some fans, Nicole, on what you just dropped, some knowledge bombs. Afro says, wedding for, quote, far-flung relatives, LOL. Ray says, Nicole's analysis is spot on. Get everyone together and have a family cookout. Forget all the other hype.
That's right.
Wayne Harris says, we got married at North York City Hall for $100 and used the savings to buy our first house.
Nice.
There you go.
That's it.
There you go. Paul, you have continuous conversations with African men. Can you give us a lens from where you feel what they're saying or talking about when it comes to marriage?
Yeah. So I think that this is a very interesting topic, right? Because often, coming back to what Nicole said, in terms of values and what's really sold in terms of a value about marriage is usually directed towards women, right? So from their yay high, it's all about that wedding day, that prince, that someone to come and take you away. So there's a value of marriage. On the other side of that, in particular, for ourselves, we don't have that value, right? It's not pushed to us. It's not advertised, or, if it's wedding magazines or marriage magazines or relationship books or whatnot, it's not usually pushed to us. So I find that a lot of Black men that I know don't have a value for marriage, right? And then the other part of it is that a lot of times we're not prepared for marriage, and prepared in the way of, how do we live with someone? How do we sacrifice? What does it mean to have that level of commitment to one person, right? However, I think that what is positive is that there's so many, and this, Dr. Vibe, so many circles out there now of Black men, Black fathers, Black brothers, and these conversations are beginning to come up, right? A lot of these conversations around, partnering, the challenge of relationships, the challenges of defining what a man is, and us wrestling with that, especially most of our definitions of manhood are from a Eurocentric perspective of what it means to be a man, right? Even something as simple, coming from the Caribbean, I'll say with my own father, like the stereotypes would have been, men, don't cook, men don't sew, and so on and so. And I grew up, my dad,
My
cooked.
dad sewed. My grandfather on my dad's side was a tailor in Montego Bay, Jamaica.
And this I'm saying, my dad, the same thing. He's a great, so these things, so as you step into your manhood, it becomes challenging. I've sat in circles with brothers that have had tears around trying to fight against these things. And then the impact on their own relationships, because, they expect to be this type of man, and therefore, but it didn't really fit the model in the relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm supposed to be that tough guy. I'm not supposed to do this and that. So I think that the state of marriage for Black men, we're very much in the state of redefining, first of all, who we are as Black men or as men. And then coming to that point where are we moving? What do we think about being married? Is that something that we value? Is that something that we strive for? Right. And again, if it takes, and say in this case, a heterosexual relationship, if we're imbalanced or we're unsure as Black men about, who we are, in particular in relationships, it's going to be challenging moving forward. But what I would love to find out, from young people is what, young men or young Black men, what is their view around marriage? Kind of getting a pulse about where they are. But I think that's the particular challenge that we have now really is around that. And then the other piece I'll say historically is that because a lot of our young men have not come from a two-parent home, right? The functioning of the relationship and how it looks like on a day-to-day, most of us are just trying to fly by the seat of our pants. We really don't know what that looks like. Yep. Right. So that becomes a challenge in itself.
Great insight from both of you. And that's another fact that Dr. George Fraser shared with me, that in America, it's about 70% of the Black children grew up in a one-parent home, or growing up in a one-parent home. So that is a huge, huge impact. More comments coming in. Dr. Tachi loves what Wayne Harris shared about going to Northwest Civic Center and getting married for $100. He says that the money for a wedding can buy a home in some markets. Man, Fatima how much you hiring Fatima to come in this chat today? This couple is dropping some great nuggets. Dr. Tachi says weddings are big business, so there's an incentive to get people to buy into that, quote, fairy tale wedding, unquote. She says she learned how to iron using water from my dad. Fatima says some men cannot live up to the unrealistic expectations of someone who are looking to live a fairy tale. And then Africor says, so true. My uncle we got a lot of tailors in this conversation going on. Tailor heritage, and raised my dad. I grew up with our household giving my dad everything to sew. Same here. I didn't have hem. Yeah, hem garments. Yeah. And my dad ironed my money. Yep. And then Ray says the fragmentation of the extended family has had a significant, perhaps negative impact on young Black men. The presence of grandfathers and uncles and big cousins is critical to our maturity and growth. I also want to ask both of you, when you got married, there wasn't this thing as big as it is now called social media. And unfortunately, I had to go there. Yeah. A lot of the noise on social media is very anti-relationship, anti-Black relationship. What are your thoughts on that?
And I laughed when you said that because, I always joke that, I mean, when we first started dating, forget about social media, like we barely had voicemail. Like there was
drop that.
Yeah, we had like voicemail. What was that? Like one of my biggest issues when we were dating is that Paul never called when he said he was going to call. Right? Like he would say, oh, I'll call you later. And then I wouldn't hear from him for 3 days. And then I'd say, hey, you said you were going to call me. And he's like, I did call you, but I would never knew if he called me or not because the phone was just the phone. Right. But there was different noise back then, and certainly not to the extent that it is now, where you're getting noise and input from people all across the universe. You know, it was just Valentine's Day the other day, and I was sharing with my children how you know, the first Valentine's Day that Paul and I had when we were dating, Paul didn't celebrate Valentine's Day. You know, and like the big booming wedding business, we were told that, you know, if a guy truly valued you, he was going to have some chocolates and roses and candy and all of this stuff for Valentine's Day. Paul was like, yeah, I'm not into the commercialism. I don't do Valentine's Day. So this is when the noise began. I had to go to my girlfriends and be like, we'd been dating for a month at this point. I had to go to my girlfriends and be like, this guy says he doesn't celebrate Valentine's Day. What do you think? Man, 75 to 80% of my friends was like, dump him, girl, dump him. He just showing you who he is right now. He's cheap. He doesn't care about you. He couldn't even do that. Just go to the store and get you some flowers, you know. But like any noise, I had to sit down and think on that. I was like, do I want flowers? Do I even eat chocolate? Are these things that I really want, or are they just a symbol that somebody has taught me that I should want? What do I want?
Yeah.
And what I wanted was to go to the Valentine's Day dance. That's what I wanted. So we had to negotiate. It was our first major negotiation. Like, okay, we're not going to do this, but instead we're going to do that. And we did what worked for us, and that worked for us, you know? So I think with social media now, there's a lot of people saying Black relationships are this and they're not this and they are that, but it's not about that. For me, we have to make sure that we talk to young people today about whatever you see, whatever you hear, when anybody tells you, what works for you. You and that person.
Yeah, and I would say with the social media piece, it's just a reflection of the disconnection that we have with ourselves and our community, right? If somebody's opinion that you don't know is valued more than somebody who is your brother, your sister, or in your community, someone who knows you, like me and Dr. Vibe, we're brethren. And I'm like, yo, Dr. Vibe, here's my opinion on something. Or he can give me his opinion on something. If someone's opinion outside of that really is not invested in your relationship, you know, whether that be the success or, you know, it moving forward, has more influence than, you know, than the person that you actually, you know, love, care, and, you know, then there's a challenge to that, right? But that's also a reflection of the isolation that we have, trying to negotiate these life situations. You know, a lot of us don't have someone in our lives that we could actually really say, hey, you know, I don't know the way, you know, can you help me kind of, or give me, like, a lot of us don't have that. And that's not, you know, our fault per se, but I think it's just a reflection of the times that we're in. But I think, you know, it's almost like we need to kind of go back to those times where we can really say, who are the people in our corners that we're going to be listening to, or hearing and valuing their opinion. You don't always have to do what they say, but we really know at the end of the day, if it's about, you know, someone who has that connection and that love for you, then, you know, you can kind of weigh that. So I think that's where we are. You know, social media has definitely created that level of isolation and disconnect, in particular for this new generation, right? And I like the comment that the elder said before around the importance of, let's say, grandfathers, uncles, aunties, people who've lived the way. We talk about, you know, in rites of passage, the importance of elders, right? Who hold space and share wisdom. A lot of times, you know, we're making these mistakes over and over because we're not connecting with the folks who said, hey, you know, I've been down that road. I did the wrong thing or I did the right thing, but here's my experience and my wisdom, you know? So I think that's also something that we need to get back to, that elder connection when it comes to relationship, when it comes to marriage.
Okay.
Man, this conversation in the chat, it's like the chat is like where all the action is.
And I was just, you're reading my alleged mind because saying, I hope you both can stay for a little bit longer. So some serious questions
I
coming up.
love
And then,
these people.
yeah,
You got
yes.
great people.
So I hope you can stay for a little bit more, because I definitely want you to give some strength and voice to power to some of these questions. But what is going to happen during the event? What do people have to look forward to during the event? And then we'll get to the questions.
All right. So it's going to be a great event. Like I mentioned, it's going to be at Laz Authentic Cuisine, 48 Main Street North in Markham. I will say this. I'm just going to kind of let people know a little bit. It's going to be a 3-course meal, right? So you're going to have your appetizer, your main, and your dessert. For the folks who are fish lovers like me, I'm just going to give you a little sense of it. Sorrel glazed salmon will be on the menu. Again, sorrel glazed salmon. And Gaika from Laz, she does it up. So I'm gonna give that little tints. There will be other meals, but we'll have meals also for vegetarians. There'll be entertainment like poetry, music, a DJ. We'll be having conversations similar to this, and connection. We'll have people who will have gift bags, and prizes for folks to come through. We'll have pieces around business sharing. So we'll have people who have products, services, businesses that will be able to talk about that. If people are interested in either coming to the event or supporting the event, we have a sponsorship package that you can get back to us, and we can let you know about sponsoring the events and highlighting it at the events. But really, it's about connection, sharing with other couples, because again, talking about the isolation, we often think that, this is just us, operating in our relationship or our marriage, but sharing that knowledge with other folks and that experience goes a long way. And then, of course, celebrating ourselves, right? We don't do that enough. I keep, saying that I did a talk on Monday with some young people. And I said it's important that we celebrate ourselves, especially as Black people, as Black married couples, because we don't get that enough. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be wonderful.
The talking part to me is the most important part. I love meeting other couples, because a lot of us, whether it's purposeful or just a situation that we're in, a lot of us do live in isolation from other married couples. You don't always get that time to be around other people that understand what you're going through, or understand or have tips for you, or like, girl, I was in that situation too. This is what I did. And then you just laugh. One of the last ones I remember us doing before the pandemic, I laughed so much that night. It was just like a freeing up to be around people who were like us, and I really want to stress that it's a very open event. Hopefully we'll get to talk about that more. So this is not like you show up with your marriage license and we're not checking ID, right? There's a lot of different ways that
so this brings up another conversation piece. Can those who are dating show up at this? Can those who are single, can they show up at this also?
I've got those questions, and we both have got those questions. And it's not that I want to say like just no, but I want to be clear. This is a celebration of Black marriage. Right. And it's to create that space for that. Now, I would say if folks are considering getting married, right, it'd be beneficial to come out and, kind of maybe rub, ask questions, whatever. Yeah, listen, right? Or even talk. Like this is some of the things we're thinking about. What do you guys think? So, and again, the event is not going to be so structured. I want to kind of say that it's really about a social event, right? We're not going to have a speech, and then it really is about people connecting. So I think, just coming back to the focus really is for couples that are married, and I think Nicole was alluding to. Sometimes we have an open definition of what that is. You don't necessarily need a marriage license. You could have been living with someone for 20 years, you're married. Married means to bring things together.
Marriage is the commitment. That's what I'm saying. And I think that it's not for us to define it for you, but I feel like there are some guidelines that we can follow, right? Like, you may not necessarily have had a legal marriage, but your commitment to each other is marriage level, right? That means that if you're dating, I'm not expecting you to bring somebody who you've been with for the last 2.5 weeks, right? That's dating. And
Yeah.
dating is great. It's a great start. But I think if there are people who do not consider themselves married, but they know that their intention is on a marriage level, like we both agree that we are getting married and we want to come and learn and talk and prepare ourselves for marriage, then we would be open to that too. It's a celebration of things marriage. So I think if you're single, probably not so much. I've had a few people ask me, like, can I find somebody there to get married to?
Yeah, because hopefully not.
No, I don't.
That'll be a whole different event.
Yes.
It's a different event. One we may plan. I've always
Absolutely.
wanted to take that on. A great domino night for singles. I'm for that, but this is not that.
All right. So a few comments here. Macmillan Group says, man, that salmon sounds good. Right up my alley. Africor says, many of us may unfortunately have a, quote, fragmented family, unquote, but still believe in the institution of marriage and raise children by honoring the new family unit in a co-parenting relationship. Well put. All right. Here come the questions. Wayne Harris. Marriage comes in many non-traditional forms today. Will this be addressed at the event? Also, what are the defined roles for men and women today within the context of the Black family? What a two questions.
Oh, I know, right? I find the thing of non-traditional forms is interesting, because I think as Black people who are married, we were not even given access to many of what would have been considered the traditional forms. That's why when we talk about do you or do you not have a marriage license, how do you talk about that with people who historically were not even allowed to get married? African Americans said they jumped over broomsticks. In the Caribbean, we probably did something else, but traditional or non-traditional, that's not really our thing. I know there are same-sex couples. If you're comfortable and you feel and you're married or your marriage relationship is on that level, just come through, right? Like, this is not about a man and a woman and a marriage license and that's the definition. It's not our definition. It's your definition. It's our community's definition.
Right. And in regards to that part, I think it was about roles of Black women and men. I think, again, we're living in the era where things are fluid, right? And sometimes it takes what's needed in order to get what's done for the benefit of the family and the community, right? So, I mean, if it makes sense that Nicole is the person that sews the clothes in the relationship, let it be. If it makes sense that, I have to be the breadwinner, let it be. If it makes sense that, we're building business together and we're both working outside the home, let it be. I think the rules have to be fluid and they have to be in line with, what the goals of the family are, right? Because even for children, it's shifting, right? So I think fluidity and is the key to, looking at the roles in the family.
That reminds me of an awkward conversation that I had within a conversation about same-sex relationships. Of course, coming into the conversation, people were just standing around talking. I didn't know what we were talking about, but I came to the conversation. Somebody was asking another person if they're a top or a bottom. That was there's so much new vernacular. I did not know what that meant. So I said, in my house, I'm a bottom. And everybody went. But what I was saying was that how Paul and I divided our roles when we were raising our children, we always said one of us is at the top and one is at the bottom, because the one is at the top in the morning is the one that helps the children get up, get dressed, get clean, brush their teeth, and then send them downstairs to the one at the bottom. And the one at the bottom is the one that's in the kitchen, making lunch, making sure the breakfast is out, getting them fed, get their coats on, and get them out the door. So our division of labor was really according to location. It wasn't according to who's a woman and who's a man. Sometimes I was at the top, sometimes he was at the bottom. of the house, right? So in terms of the top and bottom LGBTQ conversation, I kind of threw a whole thing into that because I was like, oh, were we talking about something different? Sorry about that. But the division of labor, again, it's what works for the family. It's not a man thing. It's not a woman thing. It's just a relationship thing. And two people who agree to be on the same page or more.
I think that's really good. Anything you want to add to that, Paulo?
No, that's fine. No, that's
Okay.
fine.
No problem. Let's go to another conversation piece. Wayne, again, there is a lot of noise about Black women and men and the relationship between the two, mostly from an American perspective. Are these issues up here as well? I think you may have covered that, but you can go a little bit deeper if you want.
Yeah, I think these issues are Pan-African, the universal between Black men and Black women, right? Because whether you're looking at the historical context, I tell people, if we look at that period of the transatlantic slave trade and the challenges around, we didn't get a chance to choose who we want to be with, right? We were separated. If I wanted to marry Nicole, I didn't have that choice. They may marry me off to somebody else, right? And then how does that play out in today's role? So we're not used to being in a relationship and choosing and commitments and all those kind of things. So yes, the issues are actually very universal. You can go to the Caribbean, you can go to Africa, you can go, South America, Canada. Yeah, the issues between Black men and Black women, there's a lot of repair, there's a lot of hurt that we need to deal with, a lot of healing that we need to deal with. And I think that we're in a place now where we're beginning to have some conversations. We still have the challenges, but I think that we really are just at the point right now where we're talking about the hurt. We're talking about the trauma that's being visited in our relationships, right? So we're at that place. But yeah, we have the same issues up here.
Mm-hmm. Especially, I think if you have young people around you, like, if you listen to teenagers and young people in their 20s, and they do consume a lot of social media. And if you listen to their conversations, you hear a lot of the things that you would expect to hear from, reality TV, and everybody has a video podcast and everybody's making reels and everybody's talking about things. I really relish the opportunity to interject into these conversations. When I listen to my kids and their friends talking, sometimes they're talking about whose responsibility is it to pay for stuff when you're dating?
Yes.
And I think this is not new. We had these conversations. Yeah. We've had them and we'll continue to have them. So there's nothing to be gained by acting as though these young people are on some new, trajectory of foolishness. I told my kids, in my day, my mother said, as a young lady, you never let a man pay for anything. She said, pay for yourself, because if you let a man pay for something, he's going to want you to pay him back, and they don't take cash.
Boom.
And don't forget about your Vex money. You have to have your Vex money. Your Vex money. Dr. Vibe, you have an international show, so you have to break down the Vex money.
No, I want you brought it up. You break it down. You brought it up. I ain't speaking for you, brother, man. You bring it up.
There you go. It applies to men and women, I would say, but usually, I've often heard, young women, you don't go out with men unless you have your Vex money. Meaning, if you get upset and you want to go home, you've got to have money for your cab fare. I guess nowadays it would be an Uber fare. Or if you go somewhere, you have your money for your own food or whatnot. So you always have your Vex money, right? I say that to my children too, with their friends. I'm like, yo, if you're going out, make sure you have some money in your pocket too.
Yeah.
Because you never know where the journey is going to go.
Yep. Our aunties used to be on some stuff, man. Like when you, as a young girl, as soon as you were 16, they tell you, get your driver's license. Because if you go out with a man and you need to be able to drive yourself home, be prepared to take his car, right? Joke him in the throat, grab his keys, take his car.
And that's how we met. There you go. Dating 101. There you go.
There you go.
You guys get the secret to a great marriage. There you
All
go.
right. Capricorn says must have Vex money. Yes, all in capital letters.
Listen, Debbie, listen, I grew up with Debbie. Debbie knows about the Vex money.
Okay. Ray from the Macmillan Group says, how did you manage parenting 4 kids while keeping invested in each other?
Good question. Good question. Well, personally, I'm from a big family. So there are 8 children in my,
Wow.
I have 7 siblings. So the concept of having, many children and parents kind of balancing, the relationship piece, I saw it in front of me. I saw the challenges as well. To be honest, my parents were from that generation where, you would just work, work, work. And I guess your love language is, making sure that things are paid for. Children are kind of, not well set, but they're okay when it comes to that piece. I think with Nicole and I, the benefit is that before we got together, we were working together. So we met in university, and we met at the Caribbean Club. And so we've been working together, from, I don't know, 1995.
Yeah, I guess that's what they call the Black Students Association or something now. So yeah, if
Yeah.
you guys want to know where to hook a great guy, if you're in college now and you're not going to your BSA meetings, or in high school you're not going to BSA meetings, join the BSA.
Tips.
Yeah. So since we had a working relationship from time, that helped as well. And when we had children, in terms of Toronto, a lot of the work that we did, for example, Nicole published a magazine, Black Woman and Child. A lot of events we did in Toronto and community were community events. Well, it could be a Kwanzaa, and Dr. Vibe, I've done work with Black men and helping to start, Black Father Center. So a lot of the work that we've done has been centered around the family and involving the family, right? So that balance, like my children grew up in community.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
And they're known in community, and they're, a couple of them are adults now, and they're still doing work in community. So I think that part of it is to integrate your children into what you're doing, and it kind of helps, right, in terms of balancing that. Now, having enough time for a personal relationship and whatnot, we've definitely been intentional around making sure we take time out ourselves. So, dating, you're dating your wife, dating your husband intentionally. You got to plan these things. Because if you don't plan them, then, it just becomes all about, it's not going to happen. You know how it is. It's not going to happen, right? So definitely doing that. And also, as we move into our later years, doing more of that, right? Because the children don't need us as much as they used to, right? So definitely making sure that, we intentionally spend some time together. And it doesn't have to be always a big expensive thing. Sometimes we go for walks together, especially during the pandemic. Nothing was open, doing walks together, having talks. And I'll always tell people, and Nicole will agree, the key to our marriage is that we argue every day. Right? And I say that because a lot of times the challenges in marriage that people hold things. Even in a regular relationship, you hold things, you never say these things, right? And then when they come out in a very, bad way because you've been holding this for years. It's best to discuss things, challenges every day, argue every day. I maybe we already argue, not intentionally, but it just happens that we argue a lot, but then we also love a lot. We also work a lot. We also heal a lot. We deal with things over and over. So that's my advice is that, don't hold things in. Right? Because we also know as African people, the Black people, that's some of the most damaging things to ourselves.
Absolutely.
Physically, mentally, and spiritually is all the things we're holding inside. The things that we've not been allowed to express for reasons that's usually outside of ourselves. You know what I mean? When we have an opportunity to do that, especially when we're together, I encourage to do it in a very loving and gentle way, but to do it because when you hold it, it kills you inside. It's a sickness that most of us are dealing with. Is what we're holding inside, right?
I think to
Yeah.
clarify too that when he says we argue every day, it's kind of like I think how people physically play fight. I find that because of the nature of the culture we're in, boys are much better at this thing than girls because I grew up without boys. I did not realize how much time they spend wrestling and fighting and pretend punching each other. And because they're pretend punching, they always know when to stop. Like they go here, they stop just short of your face. They're putting each other in a headlock all the time. But then they know the difference between play fighting and real fighting. Whereas,
True.
if I try to fight somebody, if I put my fist out, I'm just going to go right through your head because I don't make a habit of doing this. I don't know my own strength.
Right.
So when we're arguing every day, I mean, we're arguing about the news, we're arguing about something that I read and an issue that was raised, and we're constantly arguing the finer points. We argue, about who should be included as the original members of the Wu-Tang Clan. Like it's constant noise and arguing all the time.
And it's true, family. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. So
like we will argue, but because we do it so much, I think we become very good at it. Each of us knows exactly how hard to hit and where not to hit and what not to say. So then when real arguments happen, when there are things that we really need to settle, we already have a kind of foundation for dealing with them. But if we were never arguing, then the first time that we argue, it's going to be a bloodbath because none of us knows what our limits are. So I think it's good advice to say that you argue every day, but we're not arguing about relationship issues or family issues all the time. We argue about anything, but it all speaks to building the skill of being able to argue effectively.
It's interesting in regards to marriage and all that. And I'm using this example, leaning in on elders. And a number of years ago, I asked my dad, for those who don't know, he's retired now, but he worked 38 years at the same public school.
Wow.
Living, well, both, some people know, in Scarborough, going down, commuting, whether it was by car or by transit. And I asked my dad a number of years ago, Dad, how did you do that? Like 38 years. And he just simply came back and says, I did it for my family. Simple.
Yeah. Shame.
I did it. So I echo what both Nicole and Paul are saying about getting the experience of our elders, because from my lens, I see elders who are married for a long time, and they look at some of the young people like, you guys, you're separating because of that? Because of that? So there's definitely some leaning in we can learn from our elders when it comes to this subject. Fatima says, my daughter has her own car.
All right.
Africor goes, you have done an amazing job. I see Paul and Nicole's grown children still socialize and party with their parents. It is beautiful to witness. They love your presence. Well done. Man, I'm going to come to another comment in a second, but I think it's interesting. Thanks for defining, quote, argue, Nicole. It allows the ability to come to consensus quickly and amicably. And Fatima says, argue effectively, another nugget. Hayden has, look at this. Hayden goes, any tips on how to argue without feelings being hurt? Ooh.
Oh, I got that one.
Like, he's asking, like, how do you walk without your feet touching the ground? Is that what he's saying?
Or he also adds, disagree without being disagreeable. So go for it.
Well, I think that the most important part of arguing without feelings being hurt is that you first have to know when feelings are hurt, and that requires transparency. It took me a long time to get there myself personally, because I would feel like I don't want to give him the power of showing him that he hurt my feelings. I'm gonna walk away and talk to my girlfriends about it, be like, he's such a, but I never actually said anything to him. Like, I'm the kind of person, when my feelings are hurt, I get silent and then I shut down, and then it's don't touch me, don't talk to me. I don't even want to be in the same room with you. But in the moment, it would have been more effective to say, you know what, that really hurt. What you just said, that hurt. And I don't feel that it was necessary. I don't feel that that was a part of the conversation that we needed to be having. Like one example I'll give is, you know, sometimes when we would argue about money, which is like the thing that couples tend to argue about, and he would want something that I wouldn't want, and then he would say, you know what, he'd say, man, girl, you're just so cheap.
Who said that? I don't recall that. I do not recall that.
Yeah.
I need my lawyer present. Where's my lawyer? I need my lawyer present.
This bothered me for years. Like, I hate it because it just made me angrier and angrier and angrier. But at some point I had to say, you know what? I hate it when you call me cheap, because cheap is the reason that these lights are on and the heat is on in this house. And cheap is the reason why there's food in the fridge. And you know, so it was like, rah! But the end of the day is it does not help move the conversation forward. When you call me cheap, it makes me not even want to deal with you. But before we could learn to argue without him calling me cheap, I had to say, I hate that when you do that. So that's my first tip, is for both parties need to be honest when somebody, when their feelings are hurt, and the other party has to be willing to not do the things that cause the person hurt. Because if your goal is to come to an agreement, you're not going to get there by hurting each other's feelings. It's completely impractical, but you'll only know if you say honestly.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, people look at, you know, feeling hurt or sad is always a negative emotion. But I tell people it's better than being indifferent, because if I'm indifferent to you, if I don't feel a way about anything you say to me, then, you know, we really are not connecting in that way. But as Nicole says, if I'm feeling a way, like I can say I feel a way, then at least, you know, we're sharing that aspect of that's the impact. But if I feel like, yo, you said something to me, or, you know, I don't care about it, that's even worse, right? But yeah, feelings are gonna get hurt. It's a relationship, any type of relationship. Feeling, you know, mother, daughter, son, whatever, friend to friend, you're gonna get hurt. So to avoid that altogether is not realistic. But again, you want to be as gentle and recognizing that, you know, people have different histories, right? When I'm kind of rewinding a point we were talking about is, I grew up with two parents. Nicole grew up just with her mother, and that itself, right, became a challenge because, you know, as Nicole would say, like, she grew up in what we just say, the just FM girl mentality, meaning that when things are, you know, tight in a relationship, how do you have that conversation? Versus some of our folks grew up where you don't negotiate because you never had to, right? But when you see that negotiation, you know, my parents, they argue and this, they're that, we always make a joke one time where, you know, Nicole came to my house. Nicole's Vincentian, I'm Jamaican. I have a very loud house. You know, us Jamaicans are loud and proud. You know how it is. And I didn't know we were loud until Nicole showed me that we were loud. She's like, you got a loud house. Like, what do you mean? That's a regular house. We're shouting at each other, but we're not shouting to, you know, argue and hurt each other. We're just loud.
That's the way we
are. So there was an incident where I guess my parents were shouting at each other, and Nicole was like, they're getting a divorce. She's like, oh my God. And then the next thing she knows, my dad and mom are sitting together and my dad's rubbing my mother's feet. Right? But you have to be around to see that.
Yes.
Yeah. If you're not around to see that, you're like, oh, two people are arguing. It's over.
Yeah, 20 minutes before that, I thought like they were going to be killing each other. I'm like, what? Why are they fighting? But Paul's right. I grew up and it's not to speak ill of growing up with one parent, because they often say that one healthy parent is better than two unhealthy parents together, right? But if there's one thing I did not learn in my house, it was how to argue, because you don't argue with your mother. And I never saw my mother arguing with anybody else. My mom would give a tirade and me and my sister, we would just be quiet and listen and wait for it to blow past us. There was no advocating for yourself. There was no saying that you hurt my feelings. You try to tell a Caribbean mother that she hurt your feelings?
What feelings?
What? Really? If you had feelings, you were lucky she even gave you feelings, right? Like that's not something that you learned how to do.
No.
So I guess part of the experience of being married is knowing that, we might be together, but we didn't grow together, right? Like we came up separately, but we have to each respect and acknowledge the way that the other one grew and try
their
to
family.
work together and understand why
you don't marry the person, you marry the family.
That's right. Boy, that's right.
Very much so. Well, let's see. Let's see what else we got here. Opal Inspired says, good morning, all, just chiming in. Hi, Paul and Nicole. Fatima says, great answer, Nicole. All right, we're gonna start trying now because I don't think they expected to be on this long. So I know, but the audience wants you. So I go by the audience and the time that you have. What do you want to achieve with the Black Marriage Day event?
Do you want to go, Nicole?
Paul, you go ahead.
Okay. Definitely we want to achieve, for Black couples not Black couples, but for community as a whole, Black community, to see marriage as a valued piece, to see it as something that we should celebrate in our community. And for those who are attending, we definitely want folks to feel honored, connected, and to recognize that we're not alone, or you're not alone in this thing that we call marriage, and how important it is to connect with others to help sustain, right? The marriage that you have. It's just so important that, we're not trying to, live in isolation, and recognize that, we are in this together, and we all are going to come away with a better understanding of how we can improve our relationships, having some insights and some connection, and last but not least, great food. I can't. I go back to that sorrel glazed salmon. Like, you will be fed well. You know what I mean? So I always gotta shout out, Laz Authentic Cuisine. You don't have to just go there for special occasions, but yes, if you want some nice food, so you'll be fed well, right? And that's also part of our healing and our journey, is to be fed well and feel good when you come away.
Yeah, and I want to build on that too by saying that, what I want to get out of this event is extending our understanding of marriage. Like, we don't come to be like, marriage is this and marriage is that, and you need to do this and that. This is not like a self-help workshop. This is an event where we're all going to contribute to raising our awareness. The thing I really want to impress upon people listening is that for us, marriage is not just it's not a wedding thing, it's not a romance thing per se, and it's not just a morality thing, because we didn't touch on that, where people think that marriage is something that you need to do so that you can be blessed and highly favored. It's not just about morality. There are real tangible benefits to us and family and community.
Absolutely.
That we get, when we have married people within our communities, you have more people that can support you, whether you're married or single. My children help to support elders in the community. My children have relationships with people who are single. When you're married, whether you have children or not, when you're married, you have a partner. Your blood pressure can go down if you got the right partner. You've got a business to run, you need a partner. You got a household to run, you need a partner, right? So we really want to encourage us broadening our understanding of marriage, and we hope that that's what the people who come to the event will bring. We talked about the sorrel glazed salmon, but I want to say too, for vegetarians, I know sometimes vegetarians are like, oh, what am I going to come there and just get some rice and peas? No, you're not, because we have a wonderful grilled cauliflower steak with herb butter.
Pop!
Unbelievable. Some herb and garlic roasted chicken for those that like chicken, and you choose your meal when you buy your ticket online. So yeah, it's going to be a really, really good event, but we really want to make some deep connections and build more support for the couples and the families in our community.
Is there, I know you're thinking about the upcoming event, the 24th of this month. Any thoughts of taking this further? Because I have some thoughts in my head. I'm not going to give them all here, but I have some any thoughts beyond the 24th of this month about continuing this journey with our people?
Yeah. I think we need to build on these conversations.
Yep.
And to be honest, I think that in part of my vision is being able to have a support network of folks that you can call on and connect with. Other things, like I said, we find a lot of folks are doing business together, so doing some conferences or conversations around that. And I think, at some point it would be great to have a depository of information or access to that if younger people, or it doesn't matter, younger people who have not been married, want to have advice or they want to hear from voices of people, this is something that they can access, right? So finding some way where that information could be openly accessed to folks would also be great to have. And then maybe an elder circle that's just about supporting Black marriage, right? So specific role and function that could happen. So a lot of things could come out of it, right?
Yeah. Nicole, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think in future, I'm definitely looking forward to coordinating more community-based events. I know one of the issues that we always have is, where do we meet people? Where do we connect with people? How do we build, And I know there's a lot of people working hard to make singles events, but I did not meet my husband at a singles event. And many of us who met each other did not meet at events that were structured for that purpose. There's a lot of pressure, and a lot of people don't want to come to those types of events because they just think, oh my gosh, I don't want to be like a fish in a fishbowl, or sharks are circling and things like that. I really want to see more events where we can just be together as community. And if you happen to meet somebody there, that would be great too, so look out for that domino night. You don't learn something about somebody around the domino table. I don't know.
All right. Well, as we start to wind it down, there's a flyer. There is the link where you can find out more. I've shared it on all platforms in the comment section. If you want to email and find out more, that the email address is there. This I've also shared on the comment section on all the platforms. To both of you, I want to bless you both, because we've known each other for a minute and we're still here. We're still going strong. And I don't know too many other people that I know who could celebrate, amplify, and take Black marriage to the next level in the lens, I think, than you two. So I want to bless both of you for what you have done, are doing, and there's still more to come that you're going to do. So I really want to say thank you. Like, people are still on here, but they got a life, they got 4 kids, plus they got their own life. But definitely when we finish this, I have some thoughts to help amplify what they're doing, because they do it for more than themselves, family. They've always, from the first time I met both of them, it's bigger than them. It's always been bigger.
We want to thank you for creating the space for Black voices to be amplified, to have conversations, to have connection, because it's very important. And we honor you. Right? You've been doing this for a minute. You've been doing it for a minute, and again, you're not doing it for yourself, right? You're bringing folks on, right? So we're thanking you.
I take you both. For me, this is a big day, because finally Nicole is on here with me. It's been a minute, and always anything I'm always here for you. So anything you want to get on this platform, all you need to do is ask. We'll find a way.
I appreciate that.
We'll find a way. So here's see Ray McMillan's thinking about is 24 Carat Marriage trademarked, and would you look at taking the branded events beyond the GTA? Ray, stop reading my alleged mind.
We'll talk about that one
Yeah.
later. We'll
Yes.
talk about that one later.
Yes, absolutely. So to both of you and your family, and not only your immediate family, but your extended family, don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and always remember to give yourselves grace. And thank you for making this an amazing conversation. We appreciate and bless you.
Thank you. Thank you again.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, family. Woo! I always say that I'm the home of epic conversations, and I host epic conversations. Well, if you didn't think that was an epic conversation, I don't know. I have no idea what you're thinking. So thank you, everyone who watching this live on the replay. Much thanks. So a few closing things. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. Hit the notification button. Also follow the Dr. Vibe Show on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. To advertise your business, product, or service on the platform, please feel free to email me, dr.vibe@the.drvibeshow.com. Join the Discord group. We continue the conversation. Email me, dr.vibe@the.drvibeshow.com. Coming up on this Monday show, Carolyn Nicole, certified holistic nutritionist, will be back talking about health stuff. Oh, and not forgetting, Happy International Women's Day, not only today, but every day. And you can watch replays of this epic conversation on the Dr. Vibe Show, Facebook and YouTube. Afro Caribbean Business Network, Facebook and YouTube, and Ryan Oneil Knight, YouTube and LinkedIn. We got that done. And I think that is it. Oh, two last things. If you want to get in touch with Ryan, his website, RyanOneilKnight.com, LinkedIn, Ryan Oneil Knight, and then Instagram, Ryan.Knight99, and also email workwithme@RyanOneilKnight.com. And then for me, if you want to get in touch with me, website, the drvibeshow.com, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, the Dr. Vibe Show. And then Instagram at the Dr. Vibe Show. That's the drvibeshow.com, X Dr. Vibe Show, drvibeshow, and then email dr.vibe@the.drvibeshow.com. All right, we are done. This was epic. I feel like I need a nap. All right, so let's do this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith and walk good.